Hey everyone, I'm Ben Fisherman. I'm here in Malaysia and I'm telling you about 5 common scams and mistakes and how you can avoid them. The first scam is the most common one and the one that you're going to come across right when you arrive at the airport. That is the taxi scam. Now, there are metered taxis and unmetered taxis. This happens all over Southeast Asia. This happens many places where you get in a cab and they try and just throw a price at you, a fixed price. They ask where you're going and then they just throw a number out. And always, this number is going to be way higher than what it would cost you to get a real metered taxi. Or even better, to download the app Grab. Also, InDrive is another app you can download. These will let you order from your phone. It will let you see where your driver is. It will be just a safer option and it will give you a much better price. Especially in the tourist areas like Chinatown and Kuala Lumpur. And from the airport, people will approach you and just ask you, taxi, where are you going? And so always avoid these people. Even if they're not the shadiest of characters, you're just not gonna get the best price. And at worst case, they're going to be quite a shady character who's going to rip you off, potentially ask for more money when you arrive. And you just never know what can happen with some of these guys. Scam number 2 is a big one. It's happened to me multiple times here in Malaysia, and sometimes it can be hard to avoid, but I have a few ways that you can really get around it and make sure that it doesn't happen. And that is getting overcharged for food, especially at local eateries, mamak shops, they call them. It's like cafe style, buffet style, sometimes it's serve yourself or you tell them what you want. Like nasi kandar places, nasi lemak places. These are popular local dishes and types of eateries here in Malaysia. Oftentimes, almost always, the prices are unmarked. Not always, but many times there's no price list. And so, if you don't ask, you can get charged literally anything. So the best thing you can do is to, as you're choosing, ask how much per piece of chicken, how much per piece of beef or lamb. Get the price up front. That way you know exactly what to expect when you get the bill. There's been a few times where I just kind of picked 5-6 different things and they wrap everything up, they bring it to the counter where you pay, which is usually separate, and they just throw a price out there. And there's been times where I was a little bit taken back by the cost, and it's kind of hard to refute it at that point. They will just sort of make up prices at that time for different things, and they will pretend that it's all by the books, but this is a common thing that happens. They've even enacted laws here that prevent this because it's such a common thing where places have to make price lists and fix prices on their items. But it doesn't mean that everywhere abides by this. So make sure when you're ordering, especially at these cafeteria style places, mamak style places, local eateries, just make sure you ask for the price up front. Or what you can also do is tell them, for example, hey, I have 30 ringgit, or I want to spend 30 ringgit for this plate. And I want chicken, I want spinach, I want cabbage, eggs, rice, whatever. And they will give you the portion sizes that will total the amount that you tell them. This is a good way to stay on a specific budget or just make sure you're not getting overcharged. Scam number 3. This one is really bad because it tries to take advantage of your feelings, of your empathy for other people. And so what this is somebody coming up to you in the street or when you're sitting down eating outside at a restaurant. It might be a child many times, or it could be a mother and child seemingly. What'll happen is they'll come up either with some flowers, maybe a little trinket or a piece of jewelry type thing, or sometimes nothing. But they'll either offer you the flowers, give you the flowers, try to sell you the flowers, guilt you into buying them. or they'll give you something, they'll kind of just hand you something, and they'll ask you for a donation. They'll typically pose as being very poor or homeless, needing food for their child, something like that. And as much as you might want to help them, the problem is that majority of the time, almost always, these people are working with an organization. They are oftentimes taken in by an organization, like an organized crime syndicate type thing, that they just send people out there to do this, and these people are not getting the money. They're getting a small tiny fraction of it. It's not necessarily going toward food for that kid. It's going toward people running an illegal operation, potentially holding people hostage or as slaves in this type of work environment, and making them do this. And so it's never recommended to give money to people like this. And oftentimes in Malaysia, even the people on the street just kind of sitting there begging, like homeless folks, stuff like that, they are just immigrants who are here illegally. Oftentimes, again, they're working with an organization who is just taking advantage of people, and they're not exactly who they say they are. So yeah, better you don't give these people money. Of course, there is some percentage of people out there who are really homeless and need help as well. But it just becomes very hard to decipher who those people are. And so for that reason, especially when they're coming up to you to give you flowers, it's a telltale sign. Just avoid it like the plague. I've even had people come up to me, and this one is oftentimes like a man, and usually a man of like Indian descent, and will come up to me and say something along the lines of, "Oh, you're a very lucky man," or something like this. They'll kind of compliment me on something, compliment me on my tattoos, and they'll kind of follow me around, keep talking to me in a way that just seems suspect, until they inevitably want to take some kind of donation or money, whether it's for you to continue being lucky or whatever it is. And a lot of times they will try to guilt you into doing it, or just corner you to make you feel like you need to give them some money. And so in those kind of situations, just kind of hold a strong no, and just, kind of be a little ignorant toward them, or else, they will keep pushing it, and they will try and escalate the situation further. Scam number 4. This one has to do with buying items here, buying electronics, mobile phones, AirPods. You need to be very cautious with these things, especially when you're buying them from any type of unlicensed retailer, a stand somewhere, an outdoor little market, especially. But even in some malls and things like this, it's not as legitimate as you might think. I mean, the malls here, you can even find counterfeit, replica clothing. And so you just never know what you're going to get. And especially with things like iPhones, Galaxy phones, AirPod Pro, it may look exactly like the original, but it definitely won't function like the original. And, it may not pair with your iPhone. The phone is not going to be covered by the official company, by Apple, anything like that. And it's just not going to function well. It's going to be a China knockoff. So you want to be cautious buying those kind of things, especially when the price seems too good to be true. You see an iPhone for, especially like one of the newer versions, and it's, $200, $100, 99%, that it's some type of China knockoff. And again, the packaging may look exactly the same, and you may not be able to tell, even with the AirPods. Like, you may not be able to tell until you put them in your ear, listen to some music, and clearly the sound is just not up to par. And this happens a lot. I'm from New York City, and we have this kind of thing going on too, where they're hustling on the streets. They're selling like stuff that is clearly like, it's still in the box, and it has like sometimes even a fake receipt and like official documents as if it's legit, but it's just not. Best case scenario, it's stolen and it is real. But I think here in Malaysia, it's typically just going to be a Chinese replica. And the quality's just not there. You know, you can get these China knockoffs online for a dirt cheap price, and so you just don't want to be hustled like that. And more often than not, you're not looking to get a knockoff. So be careful with electronics, especially buying them here in Malaysia, especially when they're very low cost. Now, the fifth and final scam has to do with rentals, and that is renting a motorbike, renting a jet ski. So sometimes when you rent these, a legitimate place, they will take a video first of all the damage, take a full video of the, you know, whatever you're renting, and yeah, they just want to get an idea of, on paper, you know, on film, exactly what's wrong with it or not wrong with it when they rent it to you, at the time of renting it to you. But many times there are illegitimate places that will rent you a jet ski, or they will rent you a motorbike, and they won't take any videos or photos, and they will kind of hope that you don't take videos or photos. And you may, you know, motorbike, you may drive it for a full week or a full month, however long you rent it for. The longer, you know, the more likely you even have for them to make something up that happened to the bike. And a jet ski, you know, it's quite a big vehicle, let's say, and so you could easily miss something, right? And so you take it out to the water, or you ride the motorbike, and then you bring it back to return it. And oftentimes they will take a deposit from you, sometimes quite a large deposit. And so you want to make sure you get that deposit back, for one, and you want to make sure they don't try and throw these huge charges at you for some false damages. That's essentially what the scam is. It's happened to many people who I've known in Bali, in Thailand, here in Malaysia as well. And so it's still going on. It's still a common thing. It's a little bit less common here in Malaysia, thankfully. It's slightly more of a trustworthy thing. But it is, again, something where it's a lot of migrant workers, oftentimes illegal here, and they just sometimes feel like they can do whatever they want, you know? And so it even happens with the horseback riding on the beaches sometimes, where they'll tell you a price and then they'll try and get a bunch more money out of you. So always clarify the costs up front. Clarify whatever damages, scratches you see, dents, any dings, anything like that. Take a video of the jet ski, take a video of the motorbike, and good documentation of everything that's wrong with the bike, and run it by them first so that they can't bring it up later. Just doing this alone is going to make them much less likely to think that they can take advantage of you. They're going to then know, okay, this guy is a bit smart about the scam. He already knows. We're not going to try anything on this person. But if you just waltz in there, give him your deposit, give him a passport to hold or whatever, and you just take the bike and go, they're like, okay, we got this guy. You come back and, you know, the mirror scratched up or something that was already there on the bike, and they tell you, oh, you owe us $100, you owe us $200, something ridiculous. And they kind of pressure you, and maybe they tell you they're going to call the police. This happens a lot, so just be cautious. Take a video first, take a good walk around video, some photos, and you should be safe from this scam. Thanks for watching, folks. Make sure you drop a thumbs up on this video, and please share it with somebody else who might find it useful. I will see you in the next video.